Hello, dogs. Lildawg right here, right now. Welcome back to Magical Eyes. Red is for Anguish. Last episode, we learned the location of Tamura. And we're hoping to learn more from him. Hopefully. You! Let me ask you this once again. What do you think of Tamura? Hold on, give me a minute. Alright. Ren and I discussed our strategy while waiting for the appointed time to arrive. I thought he was just like a doll. That was the only impression I got. He's not expressive. I'd describe him as emotionless. He told me this creepy story that happened to him, and not once did he look frightened or even changed his expression. Well, no wonder you couldn't be empathetic to him. No matter how expressionless or emotionless, he could have at least pretended to be scared if he really needed help, don't you think? Is that why you turned him down? Yeah, he didn't look like he was in need of my assistance at all right from the beginning. Just what is it that he wants? Hopefully we can hear that from him today. You know, I've been so obsessed with this, I can't make out Marin. I can make out with Marin only 105% more than usual. How come it's more than usual? You think this is gonna be a tough case? I do. I have some tater tots with the cheese melted on them. It's freaking delicious. Even though it's still 15 minutes until the appointed time, he's seated at a table as if it's natural. I'm sorry, I'm drinking some root beer. He appears exactly how Ren described him. It's been a while, Mr. Suzunari. I knew we'd see each other again. I never did. You're speaking more casually than you did last we met. I'm not broad-minded enough to be polite to someone who lies to me. I apologize for that. And may I have your introduction? My name's Amikawa Yu. I'm in the same line of work as Suzunari. Does that make sense to you? I see. How impassive he is, even when he learns that a boy like me is with Ren. I promise I won't disturb you two, so may I join? Certainly. I'm expecting you to tell me everything this time, as much as I know. His expression doesn't help in the least to figure if he means it or not. He sure is hard to read. Anyway, should we take our seats first? You! You might already know this, but my real name's Tamura. He begins talking. And you used to work for Shirasawa Elatech? I knew you researched me. And of course we know the real Sojima's missing. And you know there's one more, don't you? Yes. Do you know how those two disappeared? The doll of a girl and a Camino. Yes, that's what I'm thinking. Is it just my imagination, or did I just see him smile for a moment? I'll be frank, what is this doll? My speculation is that the doll spirits people away in response to specific remarks. I'm sure only people like you two know how that kind of thing works. What sort of remarks? I want him gone, or I wish you were dead, stuff like that. And the two of them actually went missing several days after I thought so. Wait a second, you just admitted you're involved with those two's disappearance? Plus, as we've been thinking, all those missing cases have been caused by Doll's powers. You two suspect I'm involved in this whole case as well, don't you? I don't understand why you two look that surprised. What the hell are you trying to... I've decided to confess what I've done. I tried to do it last time, but was too scared to say it then, and I really messed up the rest of the meeting. Let's hear what you have to confess. Rin urges him to continue, seemingly have some kind of idea. My encounter with that doll was a coincidence. Initially, I had no idea what it might be capable of at all. It was just part of my interior decorating. One day I was so stressed out I started whining about one of my bosses to the doll. Something similar to what I explained to you earlier here. A couple days later, the boss, the head of my section, was gone. His family investigated, but they couldn't find out why. That's how you discovered the doll's powers? No, it wasn't that. I wasn't imaginative enough to connect his disappearance with my complaints about him. So when was it that you realized the doll held the power to spirit people away? The second disappearance. It was when Sojima disappeared. It was really because of a small matter, but I made a wish to the doll. I wished he would vanish just like my boss had. If that's the case, Tamura had the doll take Sojima away by design, unlike what happened to his boss. It was just a whim, really. It's not that you believed in the doll's powers, huh? There's a big difference between pulling the trigger of a gun, fully aware of what it is, and pulling the trigger when you don't know what it is. Therefore, I became scared. Scared? Didn't you find it useful? With the doll's powers, you can snuff out those you hate without leaving any evidence. Even if the police find something, they can't prove what the doll has done. It's literally a tool of the devil. Why would I? That doll is just a weapon that kills people when you aim at them, even if you don't know how it's done. What makes it move or what mechanism it follows, there's nothing clear about it. What's worse, who knows if it'll harm you all of a sudden? What did you do? First, I tried to dispose of it. I found a shrine that held doll funerals and gave it to them. That's all. Reports say that you gave it to the next owner free of charge. Yes, so it failed. The following day, when I got home from work, the doll was back, waiting. What? Sounds like something out of a ghost story. Yeah, that does. I know. And that's when I understood something. I understood that the doll was a monster, and what it had done to those two colleagues of mine, I realized what it had done. After that, I took the doll to the disposal center. I couldn't explain why, but the staff there strongly tried to refuse to accept it, telling me that I should go to a doll funeral instead. But the doll came back again. Yes, and I learned that there is no way to get rid of it. That may explain what the shop employee told me. He was pretty taken aback when he found the doll in the backyard, yelling out, "Why is the doll there?" The shop manager was surprised because the doll was back in the backyard after he threw it away. I think that's the most likely case. How did you decide to give away the doll? I believe that might be the biggest mistake I've made in this series of events. When I felt I had to get rid of the doll, I recalled the fact that I got it from someone else. Hold on a second, and you? Yes, and I figured out what I must do. You can't destroy the doll, but you can hand it over to someone else. That's indubitably the reason for the baton relay-like exchanges. The owners didn't happen to give away the doll. But they had to. And just as Azuma speculated, after each succession, is that why he handed it to the next owner? Yes. After having done that, I tried to contact the previous owner. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to rebuke him for giving me the doll, or maybe I wanted to know if he'd done the same things I did. But I found out that he went missing shortly after I came into possession of the doll. That completed the baton relay exchange. I thought I'd be up next, so I decided to hide myself as best I could. Because I had no idea how that doll identifies its targets, their faces, names, addresses. It could be anything. I guess that was probably the first time in my whole life I felt grateful for myself being all alone in the world. Thank you so much for making us believe you completely went missing. The rest is pretty straightforward. I spent my life staying away from the doll. Made up a fake name, moved in somewhere else, tried not to contact anyone, being scared of the doll. If that's all true, you're quite a selfish mind. Right. This is weird. He's contradicting himself, and I'm sure he's aware that Rin and I know that. Okay, we've got your past. Next, why did you contact me? Came to this city and learned by chance that the shop manager owned the doll. By chance, huh? I thought the doll might find me now that I was in the same city and decided to ask an expert for help out of fear. How did you know about variants? Even while I was in hiding, I was looking into the doll because it was a threat to my life. and I learned about variance and material variance. What I was surprised by was that you people don't try to hide yourselves from the public. That's just because we don't need to. Who would believe you when you declare you can use superpowers? So we're safe unless they see us actually use our powers. In fact, even if they see us, most of them will probably think we're doing some sort of magic trick. That's all I have to say about what happened around me. He once ran for his life, but he bumped into the doll again and sought out experts who could save him. Yet despite that, he grew too terrified to admit his guilt at the very last moment and ended up making himself appear suspicious to us. Who'd believe such a bogus story? I have a question for you, Mr. Tamura. Now's the right time to corner him. High schooler? Someone saw you and a shop manager arguing over something. What did you two fight about? You even know about that. I simply warned him to stay away from the doll. You warned him? Someone like you who gave up on everything for the sake of running away from the doll? Did the wrong thing, but I still have a conscience. Alright then. Was it also your conscience that led you to face the doll in the park that night? You need to explain to me, high schooler. The shop manager's chopped off arm was left there because Mr. Tamura fought the doll. There's evidence for that. Come clean about it, would you? I'm actually bluffing. All I've got is security camera footage showing him enter the park and some traces hinting that there is a fight had in there. But it seems to have worked out. I happened to be around the knick-knack shop that day. For what? I can't remember anymore because I was shocked by what happened after that. I heard a loud sound from the shop and ran over. I saw the doll leaving. It ran away as if it was surprised to see me there. And you caught up with it in the park? Yes. The arm was there because of you, huh? Wait, what would the doll have done with the arm without your interruption? I'm not sure either. It would have taken the arm with it, probably. And that's all I can tell you for sure this time. He sounds like he won't answer any more questions from us. Would you share all this with our members in charge of intelligence? Sure, I'd be happy to cooperate, and if your organization charges me with what I did, I'll do anything to atone for it. For the first time in this conversation, his voice carries a hint of emotion. Alright! Give me a minute. Sorry, I was eating some more of my tater tots covered in cheese. You totally blindsided me back there, high schooler. I never would have expected that coming from you. I could see you shining just like a diamond in a goat's. I won't let you finish that sentence. So what's your take? I assume most of what he said is true, but I doubt he told us everything. Same here, and I feel like he's hiding the core of the case. You know what I don't understand? Why it is he'd still have to hide even after he went that far. Hell if I know. He confesses everything from his guilt to how sordid he thought he was about it. Despite that, what would be even more important for him to conceal? He said he was really scared by the doll, but he could have asked me for protection even if he couldn't tell me the truth back at the first meeting. He knew you were one of those experts he was looking for. No one could be more dependable. It was the same earlier too. Never asked us for protection. I feel sure that the course of action he's decided on is for the sake of something other than his own life. I also noticed something else. What's that? He looks like he's been working out, and I don't think it's for fun or health. I had an impression that he's going through an athlete's training regimen. Also, judging from his footwork, he seems to be learning martial arts too. How good do you think he is? Not trained enough to move on reflex, but not so green either. You're insanely good when it comes to combat stuff, high schooler. I'm with Pops on this. You're just too indifferent about it. Marin knows as little about that stuff as me. Yet despite that, you're both excellent fighters. Just how crazy are you two? Yeah, she's crazy pretty. What? Is that the topic we're on now? Nurses can be heard running around in the hallways. They must be busy preparing the dinner service. The patient room, on the other hand, is swamped by tense silence, as though it alone were in a different building. What is that supposed to mean? It means exactly what I just said. You're the doll's accomplice. Nikala frowns. He is no longer the same man who a few minutes ago welcomed the police officer with a smile on his face. You sound like you're saying the doll committed some sort of crime. You have testified that the doll is capable of assaulting people. Even if that's true, how do you conclude that I am an accomplice? It attacked me. I'm the victim here. I'm not talking about your injury at the moment. I'm talking about the multiple missing persons cases that happened around you. Azuma speaks with ambiguity because Nikala may not know about the latest 2 disappearances yet. You know about them, do you? Yes, I do. They make me feel really unsafe. Despite the fact you're involved in them yourself, I'm not quite sure what you're trying to say. Do you know a man named Tamura? Pulls out his last resort not to waste any more time. It's a very common name. Which Tamura is it? Doesn't seem to know him by his name. The one who warned you to stay away from the doll. He said he spoke to you a month ago. You remember him, don't you? Zuma laid out the brand new fact obtained from Emeka. Uh-huh, that man. There's no material evidence, and if he's clever enough, he'll probably keep playing dumb. Still, Zuma has confidence he won't. Alright, since you had a talk with him, you gotta know what I did. Nikawa's a big money grubber, yet also known as an affable and discerning shop manager, but now his dark nature starts to surface from the gap between that mask and his true face. Give up. Yes, I asked the doll several times. I asked it to make people I hated disappear. So you admit it? I do, because it's just like praying at a shrine. Explains without showing any regret as if having fun. Who would imagine praying to a doll could make people disappear? You may be right. As long as it's only a person too, Azuma adds in his mind. But you learned what the doll really was, and you learned it with your own body. Yes, that experience really astonished me. I think the doll must have done something to all those missing people. Nikawa rubs his immobile left arm. Not feel any guilt about it? Huh? What kind of crime would it be? Am I gonna get accused of praying? He laughs out loud. His laughter sounds so unclouded it makes you feel he wasn't assailed just a couple days ago. Sorry about that. No, you're not going to be charged just because you made a wish to a doll. I know, right? Not just making a wish. When Azuma whispers so loudly that Nikawa may or may not be able to make it out. He seems too impressed by what he has done to catch it. Azuma predicted all this would happen. He knew everything from Nikawa quickly admitting his involvement with the doll, acting defiant towards him, to the gloomy truth that he's been hiding behind his words and deeds. Azuma hears the flames within him flare up. Well, alright then. Excuse me. June and Shizuku sigh in unison as they finish the yogurt that was their dessert at dinner. Bro looked pretty strained. Yeah, he looked a little bit scary. Just gonna do the questioning again today. I wanted to be of more help to Sis. Because for Cupid's for the two of them. Right? Since the two kids are happy from the bottom of their hearts from having gotten to know Chiharu, they were going to barrage him with questions like they did the other day. However, their brother was wearing a sullen expression on his face when he came home. He's obviously in all-out mode. Yeah, he's probably going to have to deal with the tough one. Probably. Yu becomes that way every now and then. The harder the case is, the longer he stays that way. It can last days or weeks. Two kids know well about it after all these years of living with him, and they describe that state as his all-out mode. Since he seemed more relaxed than usual this time, they figured the case would be relatively easy to take care of. But when he's turned that way, the case will probably be closed soon. That's why they decided to be patient and play a video game in their room. Meeting Tamura has changed things a lot. Okay. Now it's obvious that doll is responsible for all the missing persons cases. Yep, another reasoning. Yet it's hard to believe everything he said today. He told us obvious lies. What's worse is he seemed aware that he realized he was lying. Doll and Tamura, the truth of the case is on the verge of being revealed. Other than Miyama Semimaru, who else influenced the doll? A craftsman Miyama knew. Tamura revealed the trigger to the doll spiriting someone away. What is this? Specific remarks given to her. What is the motive of Tamura's actions? I may actually not get an S rank in this one. Boom! Never mind! Yeah! Now that things have gotten this far, the Intelligence Department and police ought to be able to uncover the truth. While their role is coming to its end, my time to enter the stage draws near. I know what my target is. It's the doll that has lived for hundreds of years, and the powers it has are the windows and doors are left taut, the people who were kidnapped without a trace, the shop manager who got away with only losing one arm, and that doll wields a weapon much heavier than itself. There may be some errors, but I think I got basically grasped a picture of my opponent. So I will win without boasting. That much is given. The Red Atelier. Oh dear, look at that. Things turned out just like you speculated, Nanashi. After a 1 hour walk up this mountain trail, starting from a prefectural road along the mountain, Kashiwaba finally arrives at his destination. Nanashi requested his department look into this place. If what Nanashi thinks is correct, this is the doll's home where her 100-year-long history lies. Kashiwaba has just confirmed the professional of objects was right. I think I'm the most appropriate one for this task. Plenty of members from the Intelligence Department have been working on this whole case. Originally, a couple of younger members who'd only been with the department for a year were in charge of the doll's history, but Kashiwaba took over their position after he heard from Nanashi. The two rookies are still decent people who feel anger towards all the unreasonable things out there. If they were here with such righteousness in their hearts, they both would have lost their minds at this very scene. They lack the experience needed to accept it. Nanashi's deductions were on point. This place, which must be the doll's atelier, is the site of a whole host of tragedies. But I never would have thought his description would be this accurate. What a horrible ending. There's a vast amount of meat, blood, hair, and bones, and bones. 100 years worth of remains of those who used to be human. All the people of the doll spirited away. Holy crap! Plenty of big reveals in this one. So, we found where all the dead people are. Fun. It was love at first sight. It's funny, though, because that's never happened with any human woman. I stumbled upon her on an online auction, thought she and I were meant for each other, a bid without hesitation, even though she was already highly priced. Still remember the day she arrived at my condo. I still remember how much more beautiful she was in person, how her purity was almost frightening in its intensity. Her presence changed my life. I had far more fun watching movies with her than I did by myself. Told her everything, my daily troubles, my pains, my happiness. Speaking to her brought me relief. Before her arrival, my only way to cope with those sources of stress was in my mind. Bade her good morning when I woke up and good night before I went to bed. Having someone to greet my day made my day. Her silence didn't bother me. I understood this was fake, one-sided communication, but it satisfied me. I found myself with no desire to connect with others and needed nothing but her. Lost my old set of values that had kept me going since my childhood, but I gained something new to carry me on. Believed this would last forever, but then I made my first mistake. One day at work, one of my bosses forgot to pass a message along to somebody else, and he pinned the blame on me. Shortly after I returned home, I started complaining to her. I might have cussed worse than usual. I just kept throwing my anger towards everyone at work, including a boss, until I was happy. But nevertheless, everything I said was the kind of complaint that anyone else would have. It was one of those transient emotions that would melt away in your mind within days. The boss didn't show himself at work the following day. This is, Tamura, I believe. In fact, starting that day, he never showed up again. I now know why. He was no longer in this world. I never imagined that I might have something to do with him going missing. I mean, who would imagine he could have disappeared just because I cursed at him at home? Just who could imagine my beloved doll would do something like that? But I was left with this awkward feeling of guilt that I had been responsible for another's misfortune. Then I returned to my boring life with my silent partner. Sojima had been my trainer at work for over 4 years since I started my career there. Other than my deceased parents, he was probably the person I talked to the most, thanks to our long relationship and my antisocial tendencies. He was a good person and skilled at his job to boot. So many people looked up to him as their ideal. Since we were both from the same area, he was friendly to me. He probably tried to understand me more than anyone else I've ever met in my life. He often scolded me, but I felt like we did that out of consideration for someone awkward like me. Even though I sometimes griped that a brilliant man like him couldn't understand me, or felt jealous of how he was surrounded by lots of people, I mostly appreciated everything he did for me. It was a summer day with a record-breaking heat wave. He talked much less than usual, appearing very exhausted. My first thought was he was suffering from heat stroke, so I advised him to take time off and rest. However, he didn't get any better. As a matter of fact, he grew wearier and wearier with each matching day. He had a huge dark circles under his eyes, as if from being punched. He was obviously suffering from something more than summer heat. He told me what was happening with him, seemingly having decided I wouldn't make fun of him with our coworkers because I wasn't friendly with them. I didn't believe him at first. He said that when he woke up in the middle of the night and he looked at the window, he saw someone peeking in. Not just one night, but every single night. And that it looked like a little girl with long black hair wearing a flower pattern kimono. It was complete nonsense, but it reminded me of the doll I had at home. Truth be told, at that point I'd already realized that the doll wasn't ordinary. Sometimes her position would change overnight. I'd hear creaking sounds in the house at night. I even spotted to appear what be a bloodstain on her neck and some wavy gray hair on her kimono after the boss's disappearance. I knew everything, every single thing, but I denied it all, trying to pretend nothing had ever happened. I didn't end up telling Sojima any of that. I just tried to console him, saying it must have been a nightmare, but I knew all along that what was stalking him was exactly what had spirited away the head of my section. Even now, I don't know why I did it. Maybe I didn't want to lose the doll. Maybe I didn't want to believe that I wasn't involved with the bosses in their disappearance. 3 days later, Sojima was gone too. And that's how I killed 2 people. Oof. And that ends this one. Hope you enjoyed. Bye-bye.